Welcome to episode 62 of Pera's Playbook. Today I'm joined by David Bass Jr., former 5-year NFL linebacker and defensive end who played for the Bears, the Titans, the Jets, and the Seahawks. David, how's it going?
Good, man. Blessed. No complaints this way.
Hey, love to hear it. Love to hear it. It's
Yes, sir.
almost the end of the week, too. That's always a good thing.
It is a good thing. Daughter's out of school next week. Christmas around the corner. So I'm excited, man. We might get a little exhale going on, get a little family time.
Yeah, it's a busy time of year, but it's also a nice time of year, relaxing, like you said, be with family. There's a lot of stuff going on. So it's definitely something to look forward to here the coming weeks.
100%. 100%.
So I want to start by quickly kind of touching on your college career at Missouri Western State. You broke a couple school records there. One of them was 40 and a half sacks. Other was 50 consecutive starts. Now, going into college, was that anything that was on your mind, like breaking records? And, was that something you wanted to do, or it just kind of happened as you kept playing?
No, I wouldn't say breaking records was a part of the plan. I will say going out and dominating and being the best that I can be was the plan. I actually forgot about the 50 consecutive starts. That's not, I guess that ain't mentioned much. I don't think about it much. But when you come in as a freshman or anywhere, whether it's high school, whether it's college, or even NFL, looking at those top caliber guys, records are always set so high that it seems unachievable. Like I'm looking at, I don't know the record before me, but say the record is 40 and a half. I'm looking at, all right, I got a 3 to 4 year window span. Is that even possible to break? And I'll have to average X, Y, and Z before you know it. You could be overwhelmed. So I had personal goals that I did daily, whether it's in practice or the game, where it's like, hey, I want this many sacks a game or a half or a quarter, and just try to set my bar high. And before you know it, I'm a junior going to my senior year, looking like, oh, these goals can really be broken, or records can really be broken. And now it's a push. But I think going in, no, you look at it and kind of get overwhelmed in a sense.
Yeah, but so by your junior year, that was something that you really wanted to do. By your senior year, was to hit those records.
100%. Just my junior year, same thing with making it to the NFL, same thing with breaking a record. You go in with an idea of, hey, I want to get sacks, I want to get interceptions, I want to, be all American, all conference. I want to make it to the NFL, but you don't quite know if that's a realistic goal. But going into my junior year, coming out of my junior year, I realized like, hey, I'm X amount of sacks away, or I'm X amount of starts away from the record, if we're talking about that. So then it becomes more of a conscious thought to say, you know what, let's lock in and go ahead and set the bar even higher.
Yeah, you played in the East and West Shrine game, and you're also a finalist for the Gene Upshaw Award. Those had to have been kind of nice, makes you feel good about your career, a little bit of some accolades, heading into the NFL draft, all this stuff, and make you feel good looking back at what you accomplished. It had to be pretty exciting to get to play in that, East and
Oh, super,
West,
super,
kind of an all-star game for college players have an opportunity.
super excited, man. That was it was an exciting time, but also it was a reality check. It was like a test, right? Because I'm coming from Division 2. I get to East West Shrine game, and this cats from D1, D1 AA, and then other people from D2 or even lower. But like you said, it's an all-star. It's just a huge melting pot of talent, work ethic, everybody that's chasing after that same goal. So going there wasn't a walk in the park, looking at it on the outside looking in. When I got the invite, I'm like, cool, we get a week. I get to go down to Florida, practice, play football, get free stuff. Cool, let's make it happen. Then you get there and it's like, oh, we fighting for our lives here. Or at least speaking from my point of view, because I'm coming and I'm having to step up. Like that talent, the consistency play out, the skill level was a big step up for me. So I was there like locked in, trying to give everything I had just so I can go ahead and get on somebody's radar to make it to the NFL. But looking back at it, all those awards were amazing. They all helped. I think I didn't really pay much attention back then. It was cool to get them because I know everything that added each accomplishment was like, okay, that's another notch to maybe get on a team's radar. And if I got enough all conferences, enough all Americans, enough all regions, whatever that may look like, then somebody can say, you know what, he made the most at a Division 2 school. Forget the talent that he was going against. Let's get his guy a shot.
What do you think the ratio was in that game of like D2 or lower compared to D1 guys that were playing in that East West Shrine game?
Man, that's tough. I couldn't even tell you. I honestly don't even remember because both sides, East and West, were separated, right? So a lot of people that was, I think I was on East. A lot of people on West, we didn't really interact with, or I didn't get to know that much compared to people on my team.
Yeah,
And then I with the defense a lot. It was times where we didn't even get a chance to talk to the offense that much. But I will say, regardless of whatever level they came from, everybody was legit. Everybody was
yeah,
legit. So it wasn't
right.
like people say, a shark in a fish tank. Everybody was sharks.
Well, I mean, there's that saying, kind of like it doesn't really matter what level you're playing at, because if you can play, they'll find you. You know, like people will find you. It doesn't matter if you're D3, D2, or wherever you're at. If you can play, you can play.
Very true. Very true.
So coming up on the draft, you mentioned you're coming out of D2, and guys get drafted out of D2. It happens, but it doesn't
Yeah.
happen as often, obviously. So did you expect to get drafted, like, or were you kind of just hoping, hey, I get drafted, otherwise I'm hoping to sign? I mean, where was your mind at kind of leading up to the draft?
Draft, it was everything. Going into that, I don't want to come from a cocky or headstrong position, but I had all intentions on getting drafted, and it wasn't because of anything I felt necessarily entitled to. I just know the work that was put in, the achievements and accolades that I have accomplished thus far, and the conversations I had, the rooms that I was in, right? I wouldn't feel the need to believe I was getting drafted if I didn't talk to coaches and scouts that was giving me draft grades and telling me, hey, we see you here and we'll take you here if this is available. So leading into that, I had everything kind of presented to me to say, hey, you have a strong shot of getting drafted. Now, where I got drafted at, I didn't predict that. I thought it'd be a lot higher. At the same time, it's in the moment, it was a little frustrating knowing that I felt I could have went higher, and looking at competition and people I went against to see those people go higher. Not a knock to them, but just saying, man, I know that I could have edged that person out or outworked this person here. And looking at a certain school or a certain level, it's like, yeah, that's probably why. But at the end of the day, I made it. I was still drafted. Shout out to the Raiders for taking a chance on me, and everybody else that got drafted, because then their dreams became reality. But it's still a huge blessing, man. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, all you need is that opportunity once you get drafted. Really doesn't matter. Nobody's going to look back on somebody who played in the NFL and then right away be like, oh, that guy was drafted in this round. Like, I mean, look at Tom Brady. He was drafted in the 6th round, or
Yeah, six.
and so it really doesn't matter where you go, as long as you
Yep,
get there.
very
Um,
true.
so leading up to the draft, meeting with teams, what were those conversations like? I mean, do they pretty much just talk about you and your game and your style, or do they want to get to know you as like a person too when they're making their decision?
Everything. The vetting process is real. It's one, yes, they want to get to know you as a person, your character, just who are you outside of this helmet? Who are you outside of the football field? What do you possess? What are your morals, your values? That's why now they speak to you, but they speak to a lot of people around you from, obviously your coaches, but teachers, and going back, whether it's high school, middle school, they're very resourceful industry, so they can pretty much reach out to anybody they want. But your on-field play is everything, right? Because you can be a great character kid, but don't really shine on the field. They might not take a chance on you, right? But character does speak volumes. So, man, it was times where we get in these rooms and they want to dissect me and my brain and my in-game or on-field knowledge. So a lot of drawing up things, questions about certain schemes and fronts and different moves and tactics. The other times film sessions, right, where we get on like, hey, you did this, you won here. What was this move? Explain to me why you did it, right? And then, oh, this time you lost this move. Why do you think you lost? What happened? You gave up the edge, or you couldn't get this sack. Other times, hey, explain this whole defensive concept. So me and the other 10 guys on the field, what were you running? What's the name of the play? Why do you run it? What are you running against? What is your duty? What is the other defensive line, the linebackers and the safeties and corners duty, right? So it can get a little complex there, but they want to make sure that you as a person, one, got the character, you're coachable, you got the work ethic, you have the brain capacity, retention skills to be able to retain an NFL playbook and different calls that come with it. but also you got that pure skill and you're able to go out there and compete and make a difference.
Got to be pretty overwhelming to a point. As a young, you're not that old, and you've got all this stuff coming at you, and it impacts what you say, how you present yourself. You don't want to screw up, say the wrong thing, and leave the meeting. It's like an interview, a job interview. So I mean, there's a lot of pressure. I'm assuming on.
Oh, it is. It is, especially if you're not accustomed to being, and it's like you and the entire staff. So, for example, I remember Raiders and Panthers met at the combine, right? And both were very similar. I walked in, actually, was it? No, I don't think it was the Seahawks. No, not the Seahawks. Raiders, Panthers. I walked in and it's the entire coaching staff. It's the scouts. It's a room. We're in a hotel room, a suite style, with all the furniture out, full of coaches and staff, and it's just you up front. You're solo. So it's me in that position and you're getting asked question after question, and people ask you about your family. Somebody else asking about football. Somebody else asking about grades. Somebody asking about what you ate and your diet, right? You got all these questions thrown at you. Then it's like, hey, get on the board and draw X, Y, and Z. And then they start asking you questions again. And then it's like, oh, yeah, well, this is my nutrition plan. They're like, hey, that same play that I drew up when you first walked in here, recreate that same player, right? This whole atmosphere is really intense. So if you're not accustomed to that, you can't get shook. You can't get a little nervous and shut down. But in the midst of that, I think 9 times out of 10, most guys realize what's at stake and they lock in and they, answer the questions to the best of their ability, make sure that everything is presented. They lead with their best foot forward so they can have a chance to making a team.
How important do you think those meetings are, and like where guys get drafted compared to like how well you do at the combine and your on field stuff? Like where do the meetings factor in? And like, okay, you really got to nail those. The other stuff isn't like important if you don't nail those meetings.
I wouldn't put too much weight on it. I think it's like icing on the cake, right? The coaches have already done their due diligence and they didn't talk to other coaches and trainers and scouts, right? So they know what you can do on the field. Now it's a matter of, hey, is this guy coachable, right? What is his attitude like? Is he a team player? So a lot of that stuff they know going into it. When they talk to you face to face, it's probably just to give them confirmation or reassure them that, hey, what I'm hearing is true, or maybe everything somebody's telling me is just to get this person in the league, just so it looks good on the coach's resume and they put a little money in the player's pocket. But that decision made, man. It's made. They just want to see if you hold up to what they think.
Yeah, yeah, I got you. So, like you mentioned, you were drafted by Oakland. You were waived in August, though. So, I mean, a quick trip. I mean, did you even unpack your bags? Were you just staying in a hotel? What was that whole kind of, not super long period of time like there?
Yes, very short. Cup of coffee to be exact. It was man, it was a flash, to be honest. I went up there coming from Missouri Western, and when I say NFL training camp was real, I haven't experienced anything like it. I haven't experienced the speed, the physicality, the playbook, right, mentally. So everything up there was moving 1,000 miles per hour, and I was just trying to lock in. And I'm still worrying about day one install. And we're on day three, and not only that, just trying to make sure that I'm keeping up with the pace of practice and preseason games. So yeah, I got drafted. I thought when I was drafted that was a lock, right? I was going to be there for 4 years. I signed a 4-year contract. I'm like, I'm going to be here for 4 years. So I got my car shipped out there, got my bags out there. And shortly after that last preseason game, I got the call, hey, we're going to waive you and place you on practice squad if you're available. So at that moment, it hit me kind of hard because that was the first, I guess, failure I've accepted as in my adulthood part of life, early adulthood. And I didn't know what to think, right? I didn't know if I was good enough to be on any other team. Like I'm looking at the Raiders and I'm saying the Raiders not even that good of a team in 2013. If I can't make this team, I might not be able to make any team, right? Do I go home? What is people thinking about me? Am I a failure? I haven't saved any money up yet. So there's a lot of things going on through my mind at the time I got cut. Thankfully, the next morning, went to sleep that night, woke up the next morning and got a call from my agent around, I don't know, 10 o'clock or so. saying that Chicago wanted to bring me in and sign me on their active roster. So I went from like high draft, training camp, super low to going to sleep and waking up back on my high horse, like, yo, I'm going to Chicago. And got that call, and literally, I think I had like 3 or 4 hours. They put me on a flight. So like I said, I had my car, I had clothes and everything. So I'm moving 100 miles per hour, trying to get everything in bags, put my car, and seeing who I can trust to leave my car with at this hotel to eventually get it shipped, right? Which I didn't get time to think all that through, but eventually worked out, man. I got all my things. I got to Chicago, where I would spend the next 2 years at.
Yeah, that's crazy how fast things move in the NFL. Like you said, you one day you're in a low, and then next morning all of a sudden you're headed to Chicago, completely the other side
Yeah.
of the country.
Yeah,
Just
and it's
kind of
not, hey, we're gonna give you 2 days to pack and say bye. It's like, no, you know, next thing
yeah.
smoke, you're out of here. Come on.
Yeah. So you had your first start week 10 against the Lions. Were you nervous? I mean, I'm sure a little bit nervous, but probably all like excited too. Your first NFL start. I mean, it's a big moment in your career.
No, I wouldn't say nervous at that point because I had a nice amount of games under my belt.
Yeah.
Leading up to that, I remember, I think I don't. So that was week 10. So week 9 was a bye week. Week 8. So week 8, I believe we were playing New England, if I'm not mistaken. And not Willie, Lamar Houston had gotten a sack and celebrating towards ACL. We followed that with a bye week. Willie Young got the start, and Willie Young tore his Achilles late in the fourth quarter or third quarter, week 9. And week 10, I got to start against Detroit. If I'm not mistaken, I think that was, yeah, it was Detroit. So at that point, I've been working, I've been studying, I've been practice squad, being active and sitting behind two other, amazing defensive ends. So just kind of patiently waiting my turn, but still working, giving everything I had. So when my name was called, it wasn't a matter of, excuse me, nerves. It was like, in a sense, a celebration, man. I was excited to be out there and actually make a name for myself and prove like, hey, I need to be in helmet and shoulder pads, and I need to be incorporated in this rotation. So I was excited about it.
The following week, I'm guessing it's one of the more memorable moments in your career. You had a pick six on Joe Flacco. You guys were playing the Ravens, and you were the first Bears lineman since 2006 or 2004 with a pick six, and the first rookie D lineman since 87 with a pick six. But just overall, I mean, to pick off quarterback like Joe Flacco, in your rookie year and take that in for a touchdown had to have been, I mean, one of the most, I'm guessing, memorable moments in looking back at your career.
Yeah, man, that's top two. Top two. I think if I look back at all my memorable moments, that would be number two. I remember, I think it was, I don't know, was it Ray Rice at the time came out, tried the cut block. I was able to play that, which it was perfect, man, because since college I've been playing cut blocks, and I always I pride myself on certain things, right? Never say I'm the greatest defensive end or great at everything, but it was certain things that I was confident in if it came up to that. And playing the cut block was one of them. So I was able to come out, play the cut, and he just happened to lob it low enough and soft enough so I get my hands on it running back. So that right there in the weather conditions, man, being a rookie, that was like my welcome to the league moment. And that assured me that, one, I'm here, and two, I belong. Like, don't
Yeah.
doubt myself. Don't feel like, all right, I'm in, just don't mess up. I went from playing not to mess up to playing like, yo, I can compete with these guys. I can make plays just like everybody else. So that was a very, very exciting play. I had a picture of it actually on this wall here. I can't flip the camera, but if I could, I had a picture on that wall, and I actually got the football behind me. I'm gonna show you. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So this is the actual football from that game.
Oh,
I got all my
sweet.
footballs lined up, but yeah, decorated. Shout out to T Med. Ravens got all my information on here. We won by 3 points, November 17th. So yeah, I keep up with all these. At least my top moments right here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. That's awesome. that you got the ball, and I'm sure when you when you look at it, you yourself a little smile. Think back on the moment. Remember
100%.
when you were at the Bears, there were quite a few big stars on that team. You guys that were Bears legends: Jay Cutler, Devin Hester, Brandon Marshall, Robbie Gold. I mean, there's plenty more that I could name, but it had to have been pretty cool to be on the same team as some of those guys, and play, and see the way that they prepare, the way that they play, all these different things as a young player. You got these awesome role models, guys that have great careers around you. And
Oh man.
looking back now too, seeing what those guys did throughout their careers had to be pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, the list can go on forever. I think my excitement going when I got the call, knowing that I was going to Chicago, first thing I do is look at the roster, see who I'm playing with, who I can learn from, who I'm competing with. And one guy in particular popped up was who would be at the top of my list. That's Julius Peppers. Man, I can't tell you how much film I studied on him. Like this guy was my idol, a reason why I wanted to play defensive end. So I got a chance to go play behind him, which is crazy in itself, right? I couldn't, if I can draw up a picture, it wouldn't be better than that. And
Yeah.
my second favorite defensive end, Jared Allen, he wasn't there then, but my second year, we signed him and he came over in 2014. So we have Julius Peppers, Jared Allen, my top two defensive ends from college. And it's like, man, I get to play behind you guys. But man, a lot of people played a role into who I am. I look back at, my guy Corey Wooten or Shea McCullough, them was my two dogs there, getting to play with Cornelius Washington. We had man, Tim Jennings, Charles Tillman, Lance Briggs, man, Chris Conti was safety, Major Wright was there. That man was amazing. Man, this list could literally go on and on and on. So I was fortunate enough to play with a lot of top tier guys. Matt Forte was there. He was a dog in himself, getting a chance to, grow up watching him and having a chance to play on the field with him. That was cool in itself too.
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, like I just took a super quick glance at the roster and noticed a few guys that popped up right away. But yeah, the guys that you're naming, I mean, they're legends of the game for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. That was an exciting time.
So after the Bears, you went to the Titans, and I'm a big Titans fan. I'm wearing my Derrick Henry jersey because
I
I
see.
knew
I
you
peeped
played.
that. I peeped it.
Had to work because I saw you played for the Titans. And you had a couple
Yeah.
of productive seasons there, but I mean, a little bit of change of scenery. You're in Chicago, it's cold, and you're up north. You go down to Nashville, it's a little bit warmer, a little bit of change of scenery. Were you happy to leave Chicago and experience something else?
I didn't want to leave, but when I got the opportunity to, I looked at it as, I have an opportunity to go experience another city, another team, another culture. So it was cool getting there. It was cool getting to go to Nashville for sure. I enjoyed it.
The same thing as with Chicago. There were some big names there. I mean, on the defensive side, Jarrell Casey and Brian Arakpo, guys that are just amazing looking back at NFL history. Offensive, you had Taylor Lewan and Marcus Mariota, and then Brett Kern, the punter. I mean, again, we could
Mhm.
name so many guys, but especially Arakpo and Casey, guys that you would have been playing with more on the defensive side. That had to have been pretty awesome.
Oh man, phenomenal players, phenomenal players. I still remember Rack from Texas days. Him and can't forget Derek Morgan. That was his
Yeah.
counterpart. Them guys was cold together. I was blessed and fortunate to be behind them. Um, but yeah, that was a cool mix. We yeah, that was a interesting time because when I got there, I think we went 1-11. So football in itself was like kind of low, but um we made the most out of it, man. I think in my room in itself, starting with Casey, starting with Rackpo Morgan, Avery Williamson was in there, Wesley Woodyard, man, that dude was cool. He was a dog to play with. Enjoyed my time with him. Then we had other people like, my guy D Mount or Nate or State. A lot of these cats came in and we just kind of played in, fit where needed, whether it was special teams, whether it was backup. And when our number was called, we all filled in. But Tennessee was a very unique place because I feel like I was there right before the culture shifted and people actually start caring about football. When I was there in 15, 16, it felt like the city, you know, was all about Broadway, all about the music scene, country music scene, the bar. So it was like, man, a lot of our home games felt like away games because we couldn't fill the seats with Titans fans. But now, even when Derrick Henry was there, he was behind DeMarco Murray our first year, but he took the lead by storm, just like we thought he would. And now that culture there is crazy. Feel like a football city.
Yeah, yeah, and I think what Vrabel has done as a head coach is, I mean, I think he's one of the best head coaches in the league, really underrated head coach, and been a tough period right now, but there's a lot of young talent there with Will Levis. I think there's a bright future for the Titans once they kind of find their identity. The identity's been kind of Derrick Henry for the last seasons, and he's getting a little bit older and slowing down. So once they find a new identity, I mean, the rookie Spears, he's really
Oh yeah, he's
electric
showing
too.
promise.
And so defense too. There's awesome defensive pieces there. So I think it's exciting. Like you said, it's a football town now. You can tell people care. The
Oh
team is 5-8, and people are grumbling about being 5-8.
yeah. Yeah, it's exciting to see, man. Then you got rumors about the state. I don't know if it's rumors or if it's a real thing about the new stadium coming. So that's gonna be, man, that's gonna be special.
Yeah, yeah. Nashville it's a sports town now. A lot of people with the Titans, the Predators, really devoted to those sports teams.
Absolutely. Are you located in Nashville?
No, I'm I'm in Michigan actually. I
Hey,
just
Michigan.
have
How you in?
happen to be a Titans fan. I like the Oilers history a lot.
Okay, okay.
Um, you know, Earl Campbell and these guys that, Warren Moon and some of the
Mm,
legends of the Oilers, and I love watching old game clips, and then I kind of like, they got really cool jerseys,
yeah,
and I'm gonna be a Titans fan, and that was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and I've been rooting for him since.
I respect it. I respect
Yeah.
it.
So to finish out your career, you played for the Seahawks and the Jets. A little bit on both team, kind of bounced around there at the end. What was that like? Kind of after being at two places for a long period of time, and now you're kind of jumping around a little bit. Was that difficult?
Uh, I don't say difficult because I always look at right the word difficult and I'm bouncing around league to league, but I'm still getting NFL opportunity, experience, and pay. So I wouldn't say difficult because I could have been at home sitting on the couch, right? So I that situation over the alternative. Um, what was difficult about it was going team to team and learning playbook, learning terminology. That in itself, I want to play and I want to play fast, right? But if we're dealing with a set of plays here, a set of terminology, and I got to switch that when I go to the other team, that slows me down because now I'm trying to learn. Or I might hear something and think like, oh, in Nashville, this meant that. Seattle, this meant that. But in New York, this means, okay, so I'm changing my whole mindset and how I think. But I feel like I made the most. I look back, there's a lot of things I would have changed, switching from defensive end to outside linebacker and different things I realized I could have worked on and how I could have settled my mind in the midst of things. Because when I made that switch, everything was moving fast, and I'm trying to take a lot in as far as the position, dropping, playing the run, pass rushing, all this mixed into one, to where I don't feel like I settled as fast as I would like to have did. But man, my time in Seattle was amazing. It was short lived, but man, Pete Carroll and that organization is crazy. I don't think I've been a part of a better organization as far as coaches listening to players, um, the setup, the structure of the day to day, right? That was next level. And I went to New York, which was a huge change up. A lot of talent in New York, a lot of history in New York. I love New York and everything that came with it. But at that time, I just felt like it was so many people on different pages, right? We got one coach telling us to do this, another coach telling us to do this. We were losing at the time, so you get a lot of players that's maybe not seeing eye to eye with players of players, players of coaches. So there's a lot of stuff we needed to work on in New York to turn that page. I unfortunately was released after the year, so I wouldn't be a part of them moving forward. But now with all the buzz they got and the free agent signings and draft picks they got, man, they got the opportunity to be special, man. I look forward to watching them.
Yeah. Pete Carroll, he seems like a player's coach,
Oh
genuine
yeah.
guy. I mean, just watching him on the sidelines when guys have success, he's jumping all over the place, super excited for him. He's got a lot of emotion and just talking, listen to him and talking interviews and stuff. He seems like a decent person too.
Oh yeah. Pete Carroll was good. Like I said, my time there was short, but my interactions with him and just seeing how the organization itself worked was crazy. And two, the players that I was there with, I think that an experience in itself to be there in the defensive line room with Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett, Frank Clark was there. A lot of younger guys that we drafted that was young, like Nas. I think Catch was still there. He was older, but huge part. Then you go to the linebacker room where you got Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, Cam Chancellor was still there. My guy Sherm was still there. Earl, like when you look at stuff like that, and that's just on the defensive side of the ball, man, you ain't got no choice but to go out there and ball every single play. I want to give y'all because you know these guys gonna lay it on the line every single play. So I see why they had the success they did during the years they was together, and I think I that's another reason I enjoyed playing out there because everybody was just so good and it was contagious.
Yeah, they had some really good talented rosters. That's for sure. And for the Jets, like you said, I think the future is there. I mean, obviously Rodgers getting hurt was a heartbreaker that nobody expected. But with a healthy Rodgers next year, I think the Jets can be a very, very dangerous team with some consistent quarterback play and some other guys, got another year to develop. And, I think there's a good future there for the Jets. And I think the coaching there too is solid. He's a good coach and he's a
Oh,
good
he
guy
is.
to
Yeah.
lead the ship. So definitely a bright
Yeah, they're gonna
future for the
turn the page,
Jets.
man.
Yeah.
I hope he don't come back. I know his rumors of him coming back this year. I hope he just chill, sit it out, get healthy, and come back next year, make a splash.
Yeah. Yeah. He shouldn't come back next year, especially if they're out of the playoff race. No chance in risking anything else.
Yeah, true that. Very true.
So after you got released, I mean, did you think about it for a while? Like, hey, it's time to retire, or did you, work out for some other teams and try to push for a little bit before you made the final decision?
Once I left the Jets, I had a knee surgery. After that knee surgery, I went to Texas to do my rehab. And during that time, I had a couple workouts. I thought about XFL and the AAF Lions Football League, something like that. And I never really got to playing, or at least not with the team, but on my own, doing my own drills, to the level that I was accustomed to playing, or the level I knew that I needed to be at to compete. So I made the decision then to kind of step away. Um, Once I made the decision, that was it. I never went back and said, hey, maybe I do need to come back or let me rethink this. That was my decision. And I realized too, with the injuries that I had and how I was feeling, I know that I was married at the time. I'm still married, but I was married. I had a daughter at the time. Now I have 3 kids. I'm still married. But I'm like, I got a long life to live. I plan on having kids and being around and hopefully being as healthy as I can be. We were to the point where we had a nice nest egg saved up. And my wife and I just decided, like, yo, you know what? We can step away now and go be a part of something else. And where I'm at, I'm still standing, so that's good, especially with all the CTE or people that's unfortunately paralyzed or handicapped, whatever that may look like. So I do miss the locker room, miss the team, the players, the experiences, but I know my body isn't in a position to go compete, week in, week out at that level. So I've accepted my decision. I'm happy with it.
Was it hard to adjust to life after football? Something you've known for so long. That's all you do is play football. Now you've got to kind of start from scratch or, figure things out. Was that difficult?
Man,
Or
you know what? I've been extremely blessed in that category. It has not at all. I think for me, I've never found my identity in football. One, I played football because I knew I had a God-given talent and I can go out there and compete. My first love was basketball, and I was trying to push basketball, but I realized that wasn't going to happen. My opportunities were higher in football. So I ran with football in order to get a scholarship. Once I was running with that and everything started to go well, I realized I can take this to the NFL, which I did, and I made a career. So once it was time to step away, I think when I made that decision, it was like, all right, I can actually go be at peace. It was an exhale to a certain extent, because now, one, my life wasn't as structured, right? My nutrition changed. I got to kind of eat and feed my soul rather than having a strict diet. So that I enjoyed. I got more time with my family. We grew our family, and so far it's been good, man. I started a business, and everything's been well. The experience in itself is worth it. I'm thankful for it, but I've never not once had any regrets about my decision or saying I wish I played longer.
Did you pick up any like new hobbies or anything after retiring? I mean, when you're playing football is kind of your focus. You're so busy, you don't really have time to always pick up something new. But is there anything that you've like now that you've got more time, you started to do or?
Um, Man, you know what? Probably biggest hobby be cooking, man. I didn't cook much when I was young, but now I moved, we settled, we got a house. I got, two Komodo Joes outside of Blackstone, and that's became a huge focal point in what I do. I enjoy it. I like the challenge. I recently picked up shooting too. Down here in Texas, I wasn't a huge gun fan. I really wasn't into them and knew much about them growing up because everything was just sports, sports, sports. But out here, it's a thing where people meet up and say, "Hey, what you doing tonight? Or what you doing tomorrow? Let's go grab coffee. Or let's go out to eat." People say, "Hey, what you doing this weekend? Let's go shooting." And it's like, okay. So getting invited to enough of the gun ranges and outdoor gun ranges, it was enough to say, "Hey, you know what? Let's go and look into this." And before you know it, I was started a collection myself, and I go out and a couple guys, and we just shoot, at targets, kind of chill and enjoy that. I guess that whatever it is, I guess it's a sport.
Yeah, yeah.
Enjoy
I mean,
the
there's
sport.
competitive people, have competition shooting, and I think there's even some colleges with like shooting teams, rifle teams, stuff like that. So yeah, it's a sport.
Yeah, so it's a sport. I wouldn't be a professional in that category. I'm real snipers, but no, that's about it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it's still something that you probably wouldn't have been doing, during your playing career because you're so busy and
Hmm.
that's your main focus.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask you what your favorite non-football sport is, but you just said that your first love was basketball. So is basketball still kind of your favorite other sport or?
Basketball, yes. Basketball or bowling.
Okay.
Yeah. Basketball, bowling.
You bowl a lot? Are you good at bowling?
I am good at bowling. I'm actually really good. I not great, but I'm really good. I don't bowl as much as I would like to, but
Yeah.
basketball is one of those things where I love it, but I know I'm not able to go out there and play basketball. My knees are shot. I'm old. I'm like 50 years old, man, over here. I'm 33 and a 56-year-old body. But bowling isn't very taxing, right? And it's a
Right.
skill to that. So I was a huge fan of bowling in college, and when I do go, like I said, I'm pretty good at it, pretty good.
You got the curve and everything or
All
like
that,
different curve?
everything. I'm adapting now. I went from bowling, just bowling and looking at wanting to get a strike and trying to pick up spares to now picking up the scientific side behind it, right? I know whether my ball hitting to the right, too far center, or too far left, how to shift with the board, my feet, board placement. I'm looking at a lot of stuff now, different balls, different cover stocks, all that stuff, man, which I never even knew went into bowling. So now I have a passion for it and the science behind it, so I can pretty much adapt on any lane I'm on.
Yeah, and bowling is a kind of sport you can take it different levels. You want to just go play for fun and have a few beers and eat some burgers and bowl, or you want to take it a little more seriously and be more competitive. Like there's that total range where you can just kind of depending on what mood you're in, take it
Yeah,
a different level of seriousness.
and it get intense. You get the right crowd out there, it get intense real quick, man.
Yeah. So at this point in the NFL season, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
Woo, man. Early on, I thought it'd be the Eagles. Um,
They're kind of getting thumped lately.
They are. They are getting done. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's like just a mid-season crisis or what. But I hate to say this, and I don't know if I want to be on record saying this, but I feel like the Cowboys could make a push if they offense show up like they have been. Their defense play to what their potential is. It's gonna be hard to stop the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Now, I don't really care for the Cowboys, but I'm a realist.
My dad's a Cowboys fan. He's been a Cowboys fan his whole life, so he
Oh
loves it.
man, yeah, year in year out. But we'll see. They don't mess around, lose first round playoffs.
Yeah, that seems to be their trend. So I wouldn't hop on that train yet. I don't know. It's really tough. There's no team that's been playing consistently like awesome the whole year. The Ravens were looking really good, and
They
they had
were.
some games that were kind of like you said, the Eagles looking really good. The 49ers, they were going good. Then they had some low spots. Now they look like they're kind of
Now they look
going
great.
good again. So I don't
That's
know. Somebody's got to play a little more consistent before it really like there's a clear favorite, I think.
Yeah, true that. Right now, I think 49ers or Cowboys. Cowboys just find a way to lose it. 49ers, I think they have a very complete team. So I don't
They
know, man.
stay.
We'll see. This is how
If they
football
get
should be, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's more fun when you don't, for so many years there, it's like, the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl. We just know. And
Yep.
in college football this year, really no idea. It's kind of boring when it's like, yeah, Bama or Georgia or Ohio
Yep.
State or whoever, they're just going to win it. Well, this year,
That's how it was.
nobody knows really. I mean, nobody knows if Texas or Washington have what it takes to beat, Bama or Michigan, these teams that have been on top the past 5 years. So then that's more fun as a fan.
Very exciting. That's how it should be, man. It was boring
Yeah.
when the Patriots and Alabama was going every year.
Yeah, there's nothing to be excited about. If you were a fan of a different team, you could kind of just check yourself out at the beginning of the season. I mean,
Very
I'm
true.
a big Notre Dame fan, and you kind of knew that even the couple of years they made it to the college football playoff, like they weren't going to get past Bama. It just wasn't going to happen. You could hope all you wanted, but it wasn't going to happen.
Not at all. Not at all. But I don't know. We're in a good space with football right now.
Yeah, and I think it'll get better in coming years. 12-team playoffs, some of this other stuff. I think it's going to make it a little more exciting.
I can't wait for that. I wish they would have did it this year, but it's over my pay grade.
Yeah, definitely. Well, David, thanks for coming on the podcast. Had a great time talking about your career and just different things about the NFL, things that you don't always hear about, in the media or people just don't talk about all the time. Some of that behind the scenes stuff. So thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, man. Wish you and the podcast very, very much success.
Thank you.